All right, in this episode, we talk about the UCL and pronation
and how we can use a football to help train it.
Brent Porcio, Stephen Godani here at the @Top Velocity #Pitch and Tips show, where you go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, @Top Velocity #Pitch Tips. Ask your question, we answer on the show. We snuck in the weight room today because if you can see, it's a little busy out there. So this is our dungeon back here in the weight room. If this is your first time to the show, we've got a lot of episodes up to this point. So if you want to go back, check out a lot of great questions that have been asked, go check it out. We're going to be at the ABCA convention in Nashville coming up January 7th through 10th. If you want to come over to Nashville and meet us at the booth, we got some free stuff to give away for Top Velocity. If you've never heard about us before, go to topvelocity.net. Check out our 3X programs, our pitching velocity programs, our 2X programs. Episode 100, we're going to open it up to baseball questions in general. So if you're not a pitcher and you have any other questions you'd like to get on the show, ask your questions soon and we'll be able to put them up on the show. So what's the question for today?
Mike O'Brien asks, what's the correct way to pronate on a pitch so that you don't have elbow pain? Does throwing a football support pronation?
Good question. Pronation is when the forearm rolls inward, the thumb turns inward. Studies show that pronation reduces or relieves the torque on the elbow. Once we go into pronation, the torque pretty much redistributes itself through the arm where it once was during that internal rotation moment right by the UCL. So pronation, early pronation, is very, very good for arm health, early pronation. And it creates a good topic. Don't let me get off this question here, just to make sure I'm not getting off. He wants to know what's the correct way to pronate so you don't have the elbow pain, and is a football way to do it. Yes, I love a football if you're going to do it. Before I talk about how the football helps, let's talk more about how we create pronation. So we know that when the thumb turns inward, it's going to relieve the torque on the elbow, reduce that stress, and high velocity pitchers will do that earlier. And you think about why do high velocity pitchers typically pronate earlier? Well, of course, there's more arm speed doing it, but also too, that's a way that the arm's protecting itself by going in that pronation earlier. But to create pronation, like most everything in the pitching delivery, it's an action-reaction sequence. And pronation is actually a reaction to an action that occurred. And what is that action? Which is just going to be the opposite, which is going to be supination. Supination when the thumb turns the other way. Now this is the one thing that I've talked about, and I'll talk about at camps, and most people think I'm lying, but go watch footage of pitchers and you'll be able to see it. There's actually a great slow motion, high speed camera close-up of Tim Lincecum in a Red Bull commercial, and you can watch his arm do the whole process and you'll see that pronation. But first you're gonna see supination. Now some guys will supinate more than others. Of course, curveballs, those pitches will force you to supinate more than others. But the more you get in supination when you go into external rotation, the more you're gonna come into pronation. So really, to create more pronation is to create more supination first. So how it looks is when the high velocity pitcher hits front foot strike, they horizontally abduct with the elbow, they cock the arm. Yeah, the thumb is now pointing somewhere to the head, but when it goes into shoulder rotation, it swivels with the shoulder rotation. The thumb kind of swivels back with that movement like this. See how it's swiveling back? So when it goes into external rotation, your thumb is actually almost pointing down. Some guys it might be pointing to the side, but it's definitely not neutral, where a lot of us think it's in supination. And whatever torque we get in the elbow there, whatever eccentric loading we get there, that's gonna create the concentric unloading of pronation. So the more supination creates the more pronation, and that's actually how we would do it. We would practice supination. Now, there comes the football. What is a football? How does a football practice supination? Is to hold the football, you hold it on the side of the football and it throws you into supination. That's why football players get such good pronation. Plus, it also aids in the spiraling of the ball. And you know you've pronated well when you actually see the ball spiral, as opposed to if you held it in neutral and you pushed it, it would just be a duck, right? So a football is a good way to work and practice pronation, but understand a football also teaches good supination as you hold onto the side of the ball. So, but here's the thing, be careful with throwing a football, because when you throw a football normally, you can cast your arm and your elbow out in front of your face. And casting your elbow out in front of your face is gonna delay pronation, unless you got a football. On a baseball, it's gonna delay pronation, and that's harder on your elbow. Any delayed pronation is gonna be hard on your elbow because you're staying in that inter-rotation moment longer where that torque is at its highest. So you wanna make sure when you throw that football, throw it like a baseball, or what we do in our 3X beginners guides, we throw it in our external internal rotation throws, where you just open your chest, or you square your chest up, no shoulder rotation at all. You just let it externally rotate, and then you power it in an internal rotation with that load and unload, and you should feel that pronation. And what you want to see is, I like to throw to a partner about 20 feet away, where you try to hit them in the crotch, and you want that nose going down the whole time. That means you pronated. If you see that nose stay up, or you duck, you throw a little duck to the guy, then you know you're not pronating well at all. So the football is a good drill as long as you do it in that external rotation throw with no shoulder rotation, so you're not casting and pushing your elbow in front of your face. Elbow in the front of the face is a no-no, and any drills out there that you ever see for pitchers that tell you to push the ball in front of your face is training you arm injury, or it's putting you in a place to injure your arm. Those are bad drills. High velocity pitchers, the elbows doesn't break the face, the elbow turns over and pronates early, so that elbow actually stays more by the ear hole or the nose, and it never gets in front of the face. That's typical of low velocity pitchers, are pitchers that are gonna have elbow problems. Anything you wanna add to that?
Just that everybody does the pronation, like he's saying. Low velocity guys will do it later than the high velocity guys. But to get into like how you would do it correctly, I think you really need to start figuring out more how to transfer the energy from the lower half all the way up the chain. Like getting the energy to go, once it goes through the trunk and loading back the arm, the more you can do that correctly and get everything to work, just naturally you're gonna get that earlier internal rotation, because your arm will have more load, it'll be more of a kinetic chain and the snappier movement. So once you kind of master that, it should start getting you earlier internal rotation. But we also do, like Brent's saying, the football and baseball throws, just working on getting that good internal rotation. But really learning it from the ground up is how you're gonna get to really time the internal rotation right.
Yeah, because it's that load and unload, action, reaction, to where it starts from the ground up. The action is the force production off the front leg. The reaction initially in the pitching delivery is the closing of the shoulders and the hip-shoulder separation, which creates an action of shoulder rotation, a reaction of external rotation, supination, and then a reaction of internal rotation, pronation. So what Steven's saying is, if you can start the action reaction from the ground, it's going to create a cleaner movement up the kinetic chain, and it's going to feel more natural, and you get more speeds, more pop, more natural pronation at the end, and it'll be more effective in really teaching the whole process, and not just learning just the end of the chain. You're actually learning how we get it to the end of the chain, which is really most important. All right, so good question. If you have a question, go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at Top Velocity, hashtag pitching tips, ask your question, we answer on the show. Also go to Snapchat. We've been doing a lot on Snapchat as well. Reach out to Stephen Godani as well if you have any questions, or if you're having a hard time getting in through to the show, go on Stephen Godani and ask a question there, and we'll do our best to get on the show. We've got a lot of questions stacked up right now. Don't think we forgot about you, it's coming. But if you want to tweet it again, tweet it again. Also too, if you are interested to come down and work with us at the 3X Velocity camps, we've got a lot of camps coming up. One right now for Thanksgiving, then we're gonna have a bunch here for Christmas into the new year. And then of course, spring training, we have our spring break camp, and then we'll have all of our camps for the summer. Go to topvelocity.net, check out more about that. See you next time on the show.
Yeah. Hold on, we them boys.